Right. Looks like most people are in, so I will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us tonight for the graduation of the York Federal Fellows Class of 2000 and our welcome to the Class of 2022. My name is Kate Harmon. I'm the Give Day Coordinator for the White Rose Leadership Institute. Our Executive Director, Megan, doesn't have much of a voice tonight, so I'll be running the show. First, I'd like to turn it over to Tammy Miller, Chair of the York Federal Fellows Curriculum Committee, to say a few words of welcome on behalf of the White Rose Leadership Board of Directors.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. We apologize that we again had to switch over to a virtual platform, but it's the world we live in. So at least we can stay warm and dry and comfortable in our wherever we are, our homes or offices. I did want to recognize a few of the board members that we have on tonight. I see Robin Rohrball is on, Stephanie Seaton. Who else do I see? Joyce Santiago. Hi, Joyce. And Dr. Michael Thew. Welcome. And is Bobby Ann, are you on? Not seeing Bobby Ann. And anyone else, any of our other board members that we might have joining us? So welcome. And I just want to, on behalf of the board of directors of the White Rose Leadership Institute, I just want to say our congratulations to the graduating fellows class and welcome in our new fellows. And we're anxious to hear from both of the groups tonight. So welcome.
All right, thank you, Tammy. Mr. Pulo asked us to share with all of you how proud he is of the York Federal Fellows and of this class. The class of 2020 should win the award for strangest fellowship year. Actually, that's years, because we made the decision to extend their fellowship into 2021 after COVID ruined so many programs and travel plans. Through monthly Zoom meetups, virtual book clubs, and eventually some social opportunities, this class weathered the challenges of leadership through a pandemic and came out on the other side as friends. Let's hear about their experience from the fellows themselves. We'll start first with Kelley Gibson.
Thanks, everybody. Anxious to share my story with you. First, super shout out to my boss, former boss, Kevin Leitner, making it here from New Mexico. Thanks for coming out, man. Okay. This is actually a CT scan of my body. So this is my literal heart, and this is my literal gut. And this fellowship taught me to trust in both. My fellowship goals: train to be an innovator in fundraising and grant making, and to compete in my first Iron Girl Triathlon sprint to push my boundaries and abilities. And then March 2020 came. How do you fundraise and grant make in a pandemic? Well, you got to go with your gut. I have to say, most of you, especially this incoming class, if you had the choice to have your York Federal Fellowship in a pandemic, you'd probably say no. But for me, it was absolutely the perfect time. I was able to get so many resources through this fellowship. Grant Makers in the Arts was critical. Being able to be with the WBCO women leaders in our community. Our United Arts Fund network was really helpful, as well as some personal coaching and some anti-racism training. And all of that allowed my organization and us professionally, me as a leader, to be so responsive in the pandemic. We actually did what seemed to be counterintuitive to some other organizations and what we were seeing, which is instead of pausing, we sped all of our grant making up. And I remember at one point, I actually just stopped and thought, oh my God, did I do the wrong thing? Did we just bankrupt the Cultural Alliance in the future? But I knew it was the right thing because of all these resources, being able to check in with sister organizations around the community, hearing what other grant makers were doing. It made us be able to do things so much quicker than we would have done it in any other time. And so how the innovation came in, we were able to provide 50 artists with emergency relief grants, which didn't even exist before the pandemic. We actually just started funding artists, and then we turned around and funded 50. We secured 1.6 million in direct COVID-19 relief for arts organizations over these past 2 years. And instead of freezing, we brought in 5 new organizations each year. And we level funded our existing partners even through the pandemic. And for my personal challenge, facing down my fear and diving in was really about more of anything, the swim. I had already been a runner, not a long distance runner, but a runner. And I had just started to road bike. So the swim was really the challenge. And when I agreed to do this challenge, I probably didn't admit even to myself what I was facing in that swim. So this is my very first swim. A person who was helping me out filmed me do it. This is February of 2020. I don't know how much you can see in the grainy footage, but my head is completely out of the water. My arms are barely moving. This is a 25-meter pool at the YMCA in downtown New York, and I don't get to the end. I'm exhausted. I just stand up, and in the swim I'd have to do in the race, I would have to do that 32 times to make the distance. So that's where I started. I think it took a while for me to admit that I did not know how to swim, and it was a lot of fear in there. I have a real fear of water from when I was young. And so it was really starting, not even from zero, it was getting over the fear and then continuing to work. And so it took a lot of coaching. It was also a big surprise when I would tell people who know me that I was going to do a tri sprint, because most of them had never seen me with my head under the water before. So I think it was something where I kept saying to myself a mantra: you can always cut the swim. So as I trained for both of these, and again, the pools then shut down in March of 2020. This was my first lesson, and I didn't get back into the pool until June of that same year. So it was quite a challenge to train already. And then when you had the fear weighed in, it was even more challenging. But my mantra I kept saying to myself was, you're going to train and you have to keep trying, but you can always cut the swim. There was an option to do a duathlon instead of a tri for the race, where I could do a double length of bike and run. And so I kept that as a way to kind of get me to keep going to the pool and get me to keep training. Oh, wait, I want to go back. Yes. So I used that mantra to continue to train. I then got another instructor after the pandemic who helped me a lot, and had a few lessons with them. And by the end, I still was considering the possibility of not doing the swim just because I was nervous about it. And it was in July at a Federal Fellows Mixer, which some of you were at, and Mr. Balpulo walked by and had known kind of my struggles with this through our fellowship. And he just looked at me in the eye and he said, "You're going to do the swim, right?" And that's when I realized that it was never about the race. It was never about finishing. It was always about getting in the water. So I determined that point I was definitely going to do the swim, whether I finished the race or not, whether I got pulled out of the water or not. And this picture is the actual distance of the race swim. It's a half mile in open water, point to point. So that beach way back there, that's where you start, and where I'm standing taking the pictures where you finish. And this is the part of the story that you don't know. This is where my heart actually comes in. I was training and doing really great and feeling really good. I had just done a brick train, which is where you do 2 of your sports back to back. So I biked to a pool, I swam, and then I biked home. And then I felt a tightness in my chest. So I went to the ER. I got an EKG, several actually, CT scans. I got lots of tests done. It turned out I was just having a tightening in my pectoral muscle. It's just a training thing that mimics a heart attack, was nothing to do with my heart. But my EKG got flagged. So what I had was called a Brugada syndrome. It's pretty rare. It's this saddle back on my heartbeat. That's unusual. Most folks just have the one. I have 2. There's 2 types. There's a hereditary version and then another version, which is more developed. The hereditary version is an increased risk of irregular heart rhythms from birth and can lead to sudden death. And that's people who you hear about maybe who are young athletes that pass away during a basketball game or some of those sports. Most of the time they find that they have undiagnosed Brugada syndrome. So 2 weeks before the race, I was called by the WellSpan ER that I had gotten flagged with this pattern, Brugada pattern, and I had to get seen immediately. I went to see the cardiac folks, again, 2 weeks before the race. The week before the race, I met with a cardiac doctor who was going to go over some of the options. They tested me with a very special, different kind of EKG that specifically looks for the pattern to make sure it wasn't a fluke. And I definitely had it. I definitely had the pattern. I saw this doctor on Thursday. I was flying back Saturday to the race in Wisconsin. It took place in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. At this point, I had made no change to my plan and wanted to see what the doctor was going to say. I had thought for sure they were just going to say, you can't do it. But the cardiologist I saw really understood how much I trained, really understood that it was sort of something that was a big meaning to me. And he just looked at my husband, Joel, and he said, can she do it? And he said, she can absolutely do it, which he's never seen me swim before, saw me training. So I trusted that. I knew my heart, I knew it could do it. And my family trusted in me. So I got on a plane and I did the race. And I swam that length in 23 minutes and came in 20th of 47 people my age and about halfway through the pack on my first race. It was amazing. And again, it wasn't about any kind of performance. I didn't care if I got to the finish line. I just wanted to get in the water. And that's what this fellowship prepared me to do. So thanks for taking this journey with me, especially my fellow fellows, Jackie and Kris, and a big thank you and appreciation for Megan and Bob. This was an amazing fellowship and it will be with me for the rest of my life.
Thank you so much, Kelley, for sharing that with us. Next up, we will have Kris Pollick.
Good evening, all. I'm not sure if my program tonight is going to be the most boring or the longest to achieve because it involved international travel. So my professional development was to go to a Spanish immersion school in Costa Rica. I was set to leave on March 15th, 2020. And I canceled because I thought if I got out of the country, I would never get back in. And that's exactly what would have happened. So the pandemic hit the following year in 21, late spring. I looked at it and Costa Rica wasn't even talking about vaccines. So I thought, this is just not the right time. Also, part of that was I'm not real comfortable with going to a brand new country all by myself. So I had planned on going with friends whose son lives in Heredia, Costa Rica, which is where the school was located. My original plan was to do a week in Heredia and then travel to the beach and then do a week at the second school location in Samara Beach. So April, May came, didn't go, didn't feel comfortable. 2020, this year comes, we had planned on tentatively going together in April, and my friends called me a couple of weeks ago and said, we changed our mind. We don't want to go in April. We saw our kids for a really long time over the holidays. We're going to do something different. So that now is scheduled for probably early 2023, which is probably going to be like end of January, early February. So what I'm doing instead is I'm going to take private lessons with the school. They do have an online program. One of the things about the pandemic, that option was never available to me before. I have a lot of flexibility with it. My credits transfer easily into online. So I'm probably going to start that sometime towards mid to next month. Go through that. That'll take me through about 3 months. And then my biggest thing is to try to keep up my Spanish skills. Many of you know I was the executive director at Catholic Harvest, so I got a lot of practice with Spanish words because I was the only one that was even close to knowing Spanish. And now that I've retired 8 months ago, I'm now starting to lose some of that. So I know that once I start up again, I'm going to have to do something. So I'm going to go and volunteer at a organization that has a very high Spanish population. That should tide me over through until I can get back into the school. And it'll also help in the long run. I thought about maybe going in the fall of this year, October or so. Unfortunately, that's the rainy season down in Costa Rica. And my friend said, it's a terrible time to go down. So I'm definitely looking at early 2023. So the other part of my program was the personal part. I had originally put in personal training, and then I retired. And what I love about this group is that it has a lot of flexibility. So I'm now doing something more aligned with the thing that I love, which is gardening. So I found a gentleman out of the Mechanicsburg area who's garden coach. So he came, I've had lessons with him. He's taught me a lot of things about how to plan for gardens. I'm now going to start looking for some classes on landscape design because I've got multiple gardens in my yard. Each one kind of has a theme. My latest one is called the Project Garden because it was nothing but a bunch of weeds before the pandemic. So I've been working on that a little bit, but I'd really like to expand that. It's right in the front of my house. So it is a great place to kind of show off my skills. So I'm looking forward to that. What I can talk about, especially to the incoming class, is the soft side, the side that most people don't think about. It's the camaraderie that this group provides and the relationships that we got. I've had I never probably would have gotten to be friends with Kelley and Jackie to the extent that I am had it not been for this fellowship program. So, there's a great appreciation there. One of the other things that they started in 2020 was a mentor. So Joyce Santiago was my mentor, and she and I met at her favorite place, which is Copper Crest. I will let you know, until the pandemic hit, and then we kind of stopped. But it was really nice having that little one-on-one relationship for somebody who went through it, knew what knew the ins and the outs, and could help a newbie along, which was really great. We started off, once our class got announced, we started off with monthly meetings, end of the workday over at Holy Hound, which was great. It gave us a chance to kind of get to know each other a little bit. And also some of the graduates of the program also came in and told us about their experience a little bit, which was really very nice. It was a nice little way to kind of get to know the group and the organization a little bit better. One thing that we did a little bit differently is we had book club. So don't ask me the name of the book. I know it was a Brene Brown book. She was really very good, but it was talking about leadership and learning about yourself and everything else. So, it was kind of like having homework again, which I didn't always appreciate, but it was a chance to, thank you, Dare to Lead was the name of the book. But it was a chance to get to know yourself a little bit better in a way that you wouldn't normally even think about, and get to know everybody else. And it was an easy environment, which was super. Fortunately, we had that one person in our group, and that would probably be my biggest advice, is to take the time to plan the little things. So Jackie Summers, I'm talking about you. She was the organizer. So she got us all together. We did breakfast one day, and then we went and toured Kelley's building, which was really kind of cool. She also set up a chef's table at, oh gosh, what's the name of the place? Oh, the really nice restaurant in town. Sean Arnold is the chef. So we went there, and it was just our group, the left bank. Thank you. It was just our group. There were no spouses involved, but it was another opportunity to really get to know each other a little bit better. It was fun. I've learned and I'm a great cook, but even I learned a couple of neat things from Sean, and the meal was fabulous. So I also invited everybody to my house for a garden tour, which was also kind of fun. We had appetizers on the patio, and then I gave them a tour, including the side of the house that hasn't been touched. But I can tell you that my gardens are planted in progression. So they start with tulips and daffodils in about April or so. I live at 171 Coventry Road. Drive by anytime between then and October, and you'll see my gardens in bloom. So they must be pretty nice, because I keep having people stop and tell me how nice my gardens look when I'm out doing weeding. So you're all invited. So again, I'm going to be part of this group again in the future once I finally do get to accomplish my goals. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kris.
You're welcome.
Next up, last but definitely not least, Jackie Summers.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I want to just echo everything that Kris has said and Kelley has said. One of the best things about being a part of this York Federal Fellows Program is that opportunity to connect with people, and particularly with your cohort. And for me, it was just really life-changing and very special. And the fact that we found creative ways to do that, even during a pandemic, which made it all the more special. And we have things planned for the future. So I think we'll stay connected. And some of you had mentioned that to me before, that it's important to stay connected with the cohort, and you really grow together, and you learn that you'll solve problems together and lean on each other in the future. And I think that's a really special takeaway. My program was at Northwestern at the Kellogg School of Management, and it was called The Leader Within. And the focus was to really get an idea about exploring who we are individually as leaders, and what skill sets that we need to be effective, and really making sure that we're true to who we are, and not trying to be someone else as a leader, but really true to understanding who we are within that makes us stand out. The program was for 10 days, and it was initially supposed to be at Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois. And so it was postponed from the spring of 2020, and then ultimately we had to go virtually in the fall of 2020. It was a really renowned faculty that was led by Michelle Buck and Robert Hughes, who are clinical professors of executive education there. And there was a lot of opportunity to meet people from all around the world, and to be exposed to some pretty impressive professors. One of the things I really loved was a program, we did with Dan McAdams, who's the professor of psychology and education and social policy, who really talks about leadership deriving from a leader's life story, and that good leadership involves projecting a coherent and inspiring story for the organization that we lead. So this is just a screenshot of my class. And again, they were from all over the world, about 24 people from Australia and England and France and Canada and even Brazil. And then of course, people from all over the United States. So it was just wonderful to pull from all of these different experiences. And then we had breakout sessions where we had an opportunity to do some peer-to-peer coaching, and kind of were in situations where we could talk about courageous conversations, difficult things that we had to undergo, and how to resolve certain situations. We did a lot of exploring of what identifies a leader, and one of them was the different differentiators of extraordinary leaders. So the discipline to reflect. What decision did I make? Why did I make it? What were the results of that decision? Are we asking good questions, and are we leveraging our strengths? And then resilience was an underlying factor that came throughout this entire program and in my next program too. Our resilience when we fail or when we come through a particularly difficult circumstance or situation, and how we recover from that. And then really continuing to work on what's our story, who are we? We talked about the different components of leadership development, our experience and action, and are we getting feedback and assessing what we've been doing and reflecting, and then planning for the future, and then pulling on the insights that we've garnered in our knowledge. Leadership is never guaranteed. It must always be renewed. I think that's such a profound quote by Howard Gardner. And, you know, I have to tell you, it just really reminds me of Bob Pullo, because Bob Pullo is a leader who could say, I'm tired, I'm done, bye-bye, enjoy, but he continues to grow and develop and learn, and surrounds himself with a lot of young people and new energy that helps him to really continue to develop and be a lifelong learner, which I think all of us are. Again, resilience, and it's one of the most reliable indicators and predictors of true leadership, is our ability to find some meaning in negative events and then learn from that in the most trying of circumstances. They also really focus a lot on reflection and the importance of rest. So I love this quote by Leonardo da Vinci: every now and then go away, even briefly, have a little relaxation, for when you come back to your work, your judgment will be surer. To remain constantly at work will cause you to lose power. We worked on identifying our values, and I love this part because every person had a different set of values, it seemed, in that whole group. And we put a lot of time and energy on thinking about values that really derive who we are as people, as leaders, and that's something you carry with you throughout your life. We talked about experiences, we talked about role models who have impacted us, and really reflected on that as we're developing our life story in words and phrases. And we then had to develop our own unique leadership statement, which we had to share with everybody in the group. When we did our core values, we had to wear them. So you can see that my core values, which are definitely who I am every day: faith, family, integrity, and love. And then here's my leadership statement that I shared in the class, and will continue to refine and change over time. The second part of my fellowship was on a program done by an organization called Mindfully Connected, called the Heart of Resiliency. It's fascinating. It's about building heart-centered resiliency for a life that is on purpose. And it's really the study of understanding how intuitive we are when we're connecting with our heart, and how the heart really is considered to have its own brain. And so when you think about it, sometimes you make a logical decision, but sometimes you have this intuition about what you should do. And often when you follow that intuition, you find that it's correct, that it's accurate, and you're glad that you did. So it was really fascinating to do breathing exercises that help us find rhythm and balance and center our spirit. And I would recommend that you do that too. So it's an opportunity to take deep breaths and really think about the space surrounding your heart, and do that for about a minute or so, and then start to focus on something that brings you joy, whether it's a pet or a loved one or an activity that you did, and focus on that, for a couple of minutes, just breathing deeply. And it's amazing how that can prepare you and center you to go about your day and doing what you do. It was a really wonderful opportunity, which we did for 6 weeks in the winter of 2021. And I also encourage you to download this app on the Global Coherence Initiative, which is the study of the vibrational field that we're all contributing to. It's our thoughts, our feelings, our interactions as a human race, and even all organisms in life. And it talks about how our heart resonates in the same frequency range as the Earth's magnetic field. So when large numbers of us are gathered and synchronizing in heart coherence, we can actually affect worldwide fear and heal our planet for the better with positive thinking, positive thoughts, positive energy, positive affirmation. It's a fascinating study. And then when I finished that program last winter, I was hungry for more, and an opportunity came up to enter into a new program called The Circle, which just started last week and will take place once a month for the next 8 months. And it is a monthly time for connection with a group of women. These are women that I don't know. And so this is an opportunity to get to know new people. It's 6 of us in the group led by a coach. And it'll help us to, be curious, to explore, to give ourselves self-care, to collaborate on our wisdom and heal and have laughter. And it's really about pulling our collective wisdom together and supporting each other. So it's something I started last week, really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to getting to know this circle of women that I'll be surrounded with for the coming 8 months, almost year. And then finally, Bobby Ann alluded to this before, that during the pandemic, I really enjoyed learning how to make cream puffs. I know it sounds silly and maybe it's not that hard for people, but for me, it was daunting. Oh my goodness, I've never made this. So I thought, I'm gonna make that a goal and I'm gonna make cream puffs. So I did, and they actually were quite tasty. And if we had been together tonight, I was planning to bring them for you. So when we are together again, when we have that opportunity, that's my goal, is to share some cream puffs with you. I just want to thank all of you in the York Federal Fellows Program, Megan, Bob, Kelley, Kris, and my mentor, Randy Friedman, who I just treasure. We didn't have the opportunity to get together as often as we really, really wanted to because of the circumstances, but I know we will going forward. And we did connect on Zoom, and we did connect by phone, and we actually did get together and have a lunch once or twice. So thank you to all of you for making this cohort possible, for the opportunities that it represents that aren't just for the program, but for a lifetime, that we have many things to look forward to within our cohort, and also with all of the fellows who have taken part in the program and will in the future. So thank you again so much for this great, great opportunity.
All right. Congratulations to the class of 2020. Welcome to the group of distinguished York Federal Fellows alumni, a group that will soon be 68 strong as we welcome our newest class of fellows, the class of 2022. So with that, I'd like to introduce the members of our new class and let them each tell you a little bit about themselves and what they have planned for the upcoming year. First off, we'll have Jennifer Brillhart.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for reading through my application. I'm not sure if everyone was involved in that or if it's just a small group, but I am so excited to be part of this. And it was really great to listen to the 3 that just graduated and hear about their experience and what they did and what they went through. For me, I am the CEO at the York County Food Bank. I've spent my career in working strictly for nonprofits. And in the York community, I've worked for the YWCA as well as Spirit Trust Lutheran. And I know many faces here, and there's been a lot of people here that have helped me throughout my career and helped me in the work that I've done. I've spent 5 years now at the food bank, and what I'm planning to do as part of my fellowship is, I'm sure I know many organizations had been impacted. I mean, all of us have been impacted by COVID, but for sure, the food bank, we were very much impacted in terms of our delivery and our services. And we were really brought into the public profile, our public profile really increased, especially in York County. And as a result, I was definitely was being sought out a lot for different interviews, for presentations, things of that nature. And I realized that one of the things that I need to work on is my communication skills, my overall presentation skills. So planning to work with a coach to help me with that, so that I can be more confident in my skills in terms of that. And then also our food bank is embarking on a building project, a warehouse expansion project, and a capital campaign that will also be taking place. And so I'm very much interested in visiting other food banks and learning from them and what they're doing. In fact, I'm actually in Texas right now. I just visited the North Texas Food Bank and met with their CEO there. And that has been one of the best things that I've been able to do in the past, but I've kept it very local. So now being able to use the funds to help me be able to visit some other food banks throughout the country and bring back some of the things that they're doing that we can make sure that we are doing at our food bank so that we can have a bigger, stronger impact in York County. And then for the personal piece of the fellowship, I plan to do some sort of yoga meditation retreat just to help with work-life balance, because there really is, unfortunately, not a lot of work-life balance for me in the past year or 2 years. And I have a young family, and I want to make sure that I am taking the time to do that and to spend some time making sure that, I recognize I can't be a good leader and I can't have the best impact if I'm not also focusing on myself and self-care. So that's my plan for this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I thank everybody for the opportunity to be part of this.
Awesome. Next up, we have Sean Kenny.
Hi, everybody, and I apologize in advance for the poor lighting. I'm not used to Zoom meetings after dark. I don't get invited to those things very often, so I feel really privileged to be here. My name is Sean Kenny. I'm the Executive Director of the Farm and Natural Lands Trust of York County. For those of you who don't know what we do, we're a land preservation group, farmland, wetlands, woodlands, that type of thing. I've been here for over 13 years and really excited to be part of the group. I've had a lot of mentors and been through a number of mentorship programs, and now to go through this and kind of work with my peers and many of you who I've worked with as well. If you don't recognize me from my press photos, I actually have changed my look to keep up with Kelley in the pool when I see her at the JCC. Although not right now, we're not swimming at the JCC right now. That would be a little dangerous, but that's the new look. Anyway, so I was debating what to do for the program, and I had conversations with my friend Michael Haiti, and he recommended the Strategic Perspectives in Nonprofit Management class at Harvard. So I'm excited to go to Harvard. My plan, my hope out of this is maybe start wearing sweaters more with like the elbow patches on them, maybe smoke a pipe, safely. No, I'm kidding. I hope to get a lot out of this because, I've been with the trust for 13 years and I have some other roles in the community, and just learn how to connect some of the pieces together really towards like common goals, sustainability, things like that. And for the other side of my program, my dad was born in Ireland. He was one of 13 kids. I'm a dual citizen. He's getting older. I'm getting older, I guess, too. Everybody is, but most of you, maybe not all of you. But I plan a trip with him where we're going to kind of see the countryside, visit places that he's never taken me. As you can imagine, with being one of 13, you tend to have a lot of family. So when I would go over when I was young, I was spending more time getting kissed by aunts than traveling. So he was a merchant marine. He traveled all over the world, but I never got to really see Ireland with him. So I want to do that trip. And my mom has multiple sclerosis, so she can't go with us. So he said he wouldn't go unless somebody went with him. So there I am, kind of coming in, and we're going to do that trip. And I don't think I've been over in about 10 years. I've been over about 10 times, but like I said, it's always seeing family. So I'm excited to do that. And the reality is in Ireland, they've really preserved their heritage and culture through their land. I mean, people don't go to Ireland really to like go to Starbucks or anything like that. They're there to see the sheep and the cows and the castles and all of that. So I want to kind of get my hands around that and see how they go about really the amount of pride they take in that and how it develops their whole economy based on tourism. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sean. And now we'll go to Katie Mahoney.
Good evening, everyone. A lot of familiar faces on here and some not familiar faces, which is equally as exciting. My name is Katie Mahoney. I'm the Vice President of Marketing with the York County Economic Alliance, and I have been there for the past 5 years. And in that time, we've done a lot of incredible, wonderful things and worked with several of you on several different initiatives. And we brought in the Downtown Inc. team into our umbrella of families back in 2018. And I have the good fortune that I get to oversee that team. So I've not known a whole lot about Main Street development, promotions, economic resources. I have learned a lot in the past couple of years. So I'm going to spend my fellowship. I identified 3 communities, one in North Carolina, one in Georgia, and one in Virginia, that are similar in kind of size and scope to downtown York, and also have very similar resources. A lot of breweries, not that by any means that's the reason I've picked these towns, don't get me wrong. But they have a great waterway access similar to the Cadores. They have a heritage rail trail similar to the one that we have here. They've done different things with placemaking, with urban landscapes. So really interested to kind of pick the brains of the Main Street managers in these different communities and get a feel. You can see all you want online about different places, but until you're there and you're living it, you don't have the same kind of appreciation for it. So that's really the bulk of where I'm going to spend kind of sort of my research phase, and then taking all of that and then channeling that through a program, an online certificate program through Yale about strategic kind of digital marketing, which is really where tourism lies, is reaching individuals and potential tourists through a digital platform. So wanted to be able to take all of that and kind of craft it into something that can be usable and sustainable and move us forward as a community. And like many of you, I also struggle with work-life balance. I kind of laugh when Jen said that, like, I don't really know what that is. So I've earmarked some of my funds to do kind of yoga and mindfulness and work on me personally balancing all of that. I think it's hard when you love what you do to remember that you're a person first and foremost too, and things that are outside of your realm of work are just as important. So look forward to diving into all of that, and thanks for welcoming us in.
Great, thank you, Katie. It's funny to see everybody like silently clap when you're done. All right, last but not least, we have Ruth Robbins.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ruth Robbins. I'm the Chief Program Officer at Community Progress Council. I moved to York. Yeah, Robin, I knew she would do that. I moved to York just over 4.5 years ago, and I've been at Community Progress Council for almost all of that time. So I proposed to first do an executive leadership program through Cornell. I looked at Yale and Harvard and a bunch of the other programs. I chose this one specifically because it had a focus on effective decision-making, managing across cultures, and facilitating change. And for those of you that know CPC, you know that we're constantly changing. So I'm trying to sort of help myself and also help the team of people who I work with become a better organization. And then the second part of my proposal was that I'm going to walk the Camino de Santiago, which is a 1,000-year-old pilgrimage. It has a number of different routes in Spain. I plan to walk from Lisbon to Santiago de Compostela, which is about 400 miles over about 30 days. And Robin does know that I'll be out of the office for 30 days and she agreed to it. So that's happening in May. I did make those reservations just last week, and pandemic or no pandemic, I'm going to go walk this thing. And I am doing it solo. I am not planning to do it as a group because I want to really use it as a time to disconnect, reflect, and recharge, just like everybody else, work on the work-life balance thing. So thank you again for the opportunity. I look forward to getting to know all of you.
Awesome. Well, you guys have some ambitious goals for the next year, and we're excited to see how that turns out. So please join me in welcoming the newest York Federal Fellows. Here's hoping that we can get through this year relatively unscathed. Just a few upcoming dates to make you aware of. Please tentatively save the date for the morning of Thursday, March 10th, as we welcome Dr. Michael McGuff for a workshop for the York Federal Fellows. It's going to be called The Art of You Leading You, and we'll have more details coming out soon. And of course, Give Local York will return on Friday, May 6th. You'll get tired of hearing us say that date over and over again. And if you have not registered yet, please note that early registration ends February 11th, and then the cost will increase. So go ahead and get in there, and we'll be ready to start pushing out all the opportunities for everyone for this year's event. So with that, I'd like to say congrats once again to our outgoing fellows and our new fellows. And it's good to see all of you, at least virtually. And thank you for joining us tonight. Now we're silently waving.